everybody, how's it going today? Welcome back to the channel. Here today to talk about and pay tribute to Pisces, Pisces and Neptune. And I've talked about it a lot, but we have been experiencing major transits through the sign of Pisces ever since Pisces season. Of course, Jupiter moved in there a while ago. Neptune has been in there a while, but this energy has changed the landscape of a lot of things. And that is the ultimate idea, is that it's here to bring us a bit of a touch of home. And when I say home, I mean the home that is the home that we come from, right? Before we're born or when we're born. The existence beyond space and time. That is Neptune. And Neptune rules Pisces. Jupiter is the co-ruler of Pisces. We have Venus in Pisces, and she is exalted in Pisces, and she represents everything that we love and value. Neptune represents a higher level of enlightenment in terms of love and value, and Jupiter there is our truth. And Jupiter, when it touches something, it makes it bigger, and it injects some divine inspiration, especially in the sign of Pisces. And so we've had a conjunction with Jupiter and Neptune earlier in the month. They are still conjunct, moving away from one another a little bit right before Jupiter goes into Aries. But the conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune in astrology is a huge event. It has not occurred in 164 years. I'll be talking soon about what I believe this Jupiter and Neptune conjunction in Pisces will be known for ultimately. A lot of things, but just my take on, or what I want to focus in. But for today, I want to talk about that conjunction and the fact that Venus has moved into conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter as well. And this brings a very spiritual setting for us all to tap into. And yes, Venus represents love and value. Neptune, like I said, the higher octave of love. Jupiter expands and brings that into a place of wisdom. So there are a lot of possibilities in terms of our connection to time and space in a way that gives us a very strong sense of enlightenment, elevating our compassion and love, and can represent soulmates. This is a good time for things like that to occur, as well as, and even more so, developing creativity. Neptune and Venus rule music. These are things that come, especially Neptune, things that come through us. You know, it's kind of a channel. You know, we could say Neptune is a channel for gifts and events and things coming from a place that we can't physically see with our eyes, but we can sense and feel. And those are all beautiful expressions of this energy. And this coming up right on the heels of a new moon in Taurus, ruled by Venus, but ruled by Venus and Taurus in a way that represents our comfort and our security, the land that we live in, our bodies and sensuality. So that's really interesting and telling that these conjunctions are happening right before these lunar events. New moon, which is planting the seeds that we want to grow in our lives in the physical world, all about simplicity, you know, and thinking about what we truly feel is important and what we value and what we need. And then we will have the lunar eclipse shortly after in Scorpio, which is the direct opposite of Taurus. So all very related, and of course, like I've said before, no accident that these things are coming through. But Venus has now entered into conjunction, back to what I was saying, conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter, and this is right with possibilities. There is an opportunity for divine intervention, assistance, direction, for what it is that we're trying to create and what kind of new beginning we are looking to plant seeds for. And so this is really great. This gives us a little bit of assistance, guidance from a very divine place, and I love that. So anything could happen, and the thing about that is we may not know or quite understand what that will be. We can't see it always. Some of us are more in tune to tapping into places where space and time meet, but not all of us. And generally, Neptune can represent a blind spot for us. So we may not know, but what we can do if we get very quiet is we can sense and we can feel it and then hold faith, which is another good and descriptive word for Pisces and Neptune energy. So a lot of very beautiful things could occur. And definitely we could feel it. This is really good time to get into your body and feel things. Neptune and Venus and Jupiter can produce things like the birth of babies. Neptune very much represents what we call the cosmic womb. So coming into this world in a sense of sheer innocence and ready to meet the challenges on the path in our life. And of course, that happens gradual, thank goodness. You don't want to throw babies, into the hardcore reality of life right out of the gate. But this energy has the potential to bring us back to a heightened level of innocence, faith, and hope. And again, it's like a channel. So that's why this energy is so awesome for creating things, and that's artistically or anything that is designed to affect the collective as a whole, the connectedness of all of us as people. So again, Neptune, we can't always see, but we can sense, and we know that there are energies there and it's affecting us. So also represents the connectivity, the energetic connectivity of all of us in the world with one another. And the universe has a way of allowing us to feel that and encouraging us to sense in and feel into that, and then in turn participate in the molding of that in whatever way we can. And so this new moon coming up with this really lovely energy gives us some more inspiration and guidance, like I said, to actually plant the seeds that are going to be helping us live our lives in more healthy ways, enriching ways, feeling and sensing our body in better ways, and in a way that will benefit others as a whole. It's kind of like, we just had Earth Day, and it's all about the environment, and that what each and every one of us does and how we live our lives affects the whole. And that's what this is about. It's what do we bring to the table? What do we uniquely create? What can we uniquely channel? What have our life experiences been that can contribute to the enriching of our society in general? And I believe that's what this is all about. Neptune, though, there are no rose-colored glasses. So let's talk about the other side of that. Neptune represents our blind spot, and we all have Neptune in our chart. that affects a specific area of our life, and that is our blind spot. Why? Because that's the place where we want to float away and in sort of a fantasy where, you know, we want to believe that all things are good and that we are going to be lifted up into the heavens. It is very spiritual. It's healthy and good to integrate our Neptunian energy into our daily lives, but there needs to be a balance, just like anything else. Hang on, I'm going to take a drink here. And we learn our lessons through our own personal evolution and paying attention to the evolution of our collective in general, so that we know how to get in touch with our own Neptunian energy and actually be able to get to know it, right? Learn how to work with it. And we do that by experiencing events in our lives that, highlight our blind spots, right? So we come into this world and we're innocent, and we don't really understand or have a need to understand what's going on around us, and we trust that where we have landed with the people that are here to take care of us, our parents generally, are going to do just that. And so we're in a state of innocence. And so a baby has a huge blind spot, right? But we all have one as we go through life. And, everybody talks, if not everybody, but, you hear a lot of people talk about, when maybe somebody is complaining or venting or, describing a situation, you hear sometimes people say, in response to that, you're just in your ego. You need to get out of your ego and elevate beyond that, because that's not spiritual or godlike or whatever the response might be from, the perspective of, the person that is having the conversation with you or with whoever. And it's like, okay, but we're here to experience life in the earth as a human being, and we have to develop an ego. The sun in our charts in astrology represents what we want. It is our ego and our identity. And when we are born, that energy, the description of that, the sign that might be in, is not completely developed. It's what's underneath. It's what we want to develop to express within our lives as we grow. And if we don't experience life in a very real way, we won't grow and learn and develop our ego. So we're supposed to have an ego. And yes, just like anything else, you learn something. Sometimes, you can overcorrect and go a little bit too far one way and back and forth until we get it right. And we get it right by learning lessons. And when we talk about blind spots, Neptune and being our blind spot, it's the area where we don't always see things for what they really are, and then we become blindsided. We live in this world, and then we get blindsided, and then we fall down, or we are disappointed, or it causes sadness, or we want to escape from the reality of what we're experiencing. Neptune also is where we can escape to. Why? Because it feels good in a place where time and space doesn't matter, where the boundaries, Neptune, have been dissolved, and we can float in a place of, almost purgatory. But that's not reality. So we get hit in our blind spots. We have to come back to earth and then try and navigate what we've just been through emotionally and put the pieces back together, learn something from it, evolve through that. And the outer planets, and Neptune is an outer planet, is designed to create evolution in and around our senses and our connection in terms of how we feel and connect to something that we have faith in, find our own divinity. And I have mentioned that many, many times. And so Neptune is there for a purpose. It's to help. It is there to help us evolve as human beings, as well as the entire world and all of the people in it. So it can be a challenging energy as well. Again, I mentioned sadness, a place, confusion, delusion. It can create a place for us, or a sense for us, that we can go so far into a place of depression, even because of what we've experienced. And again, we're looking to escape. So Neptune rules drugs and chemicals. You will likely see very prominent placements and significant incidents in a person's life that they have experienced in their astrological chart that kind of has a tendency to put them in a place where they were destined to deal with the reconciling of those kinds of things. And they might choose chemicals, substance, drugs, to escape from the reality of the harsh world that we live in and the pain that they have experienced. And, I think we all know we're all different. We've had different experiences. And to be compassionate and understanding of what everybody's story is also part of the plan here. Like I mentioned, Neptune and Pisces is the collective unconscious. So we all have our own individual blind spots, but our lessons teach us to be compassionate, understanding of what everybody else's might be. So there is connectivity energetically. And there are lots of different ways to look at that. Some people choose to study quantum physics, quantum physics in some ways, and we look at astrology could be applied. And that is what is happening here. So during this time, like I said, a lot of beautiful, unexplained things that just kind of seem like they're coming to us from the heavens can absolutely occur. We can catch a break if we're struggling with something in our finances. We can see or meet a soulmate or a lover, or have something come back together and reach a higher level of intimacy and love. We could actually be able to channel our artistic and creative abilities in a much different way during this time. Perfect energy for that. I've mentioned that before. But we could also experience ending, dissolution of boundaries between time and space. People actually leaving this world. Things that we did not see. We could experience during this time, depending on where we're at in our lives, an elevation or expansion, Jupiter, of sadness, which could lead us into further down the rabbit hole, I guess I should say, or into the rabbit hole of drug and alcohol addiction. So there are many things that can happen during this time period, and I would bet that there are many stories during the last few months and even now that may come from a place of just joy and jubilance, shock and surprise, and thankfulness for something that just came to them right when they needed it, or sadness because they experienced internal emotions because the things that were going on in reality or that they had experienced was just too much to bear. Or we actually experienced the loss of significant people. Spirit came and took them away. Neptune, it's sort of like lifting up to the heavens. So all kinds of things can happen. One thing that I believe is that whatever it is that is happening is destined to happen. That there is something much bigger than us in charge always, but has come to us during this time frame with all of the planets very concentrated, and definitely Neptune's planets, Pisces planets, definitely concentrated for a while now. And there is a plan for that. There's a plan to bring us closer to social consciousness, and so that we can find what it is that we can contribute from our experiences, or find healing. Neptune always also represents divine healing. We can actually experience healing if we need to. So there are a lot of different ways this can express. It is a special time. It is a purposeful time. That's one thing to remember, that no matter what anybody has experienced during these transits, during this time period, that it's supposed to be that way. I also believe that if you're walking along the path of truth, Neptune also represents ultimate truth, that what it is that we need will fall in front of us when we need it, and how we need it, and we may not understand where it came from. Very interesting time right now. I think it's just, there are so many wonderful possibilities. It's a good time to tap into your spirituality, your intuition, your creativity. Really look towards those connections that you feel that are based in unconditional love. Try and mend fences, create new beginnings, birth something that is special to you and that will contribute to society. As we come up on this new moon in Taurus, which is all about planting the seeds that will take better care of our bodies and our world in general, thinking about what's really important, how we can simplify our lives and get back to basics, and work on our connection, work on our blind spots, reflect and think about those things, and actually find a way to make a difference in the world in general, as well as ourselves. This is about connection to things that may not make sense to us in the physical world, but that we can see and sense and feel. And I think it is awesome. And I wanted to come on and talk about it because these are just energies that don't come together like this usually. So it's very unusual. The Pisces energy is, again, concentrated right in between the Earth energies that are really prominent, which is Pluto and Capricorn, that's calling for really deep and powerful change in our society and how we live, and Uranus in Taurus, which is creating change in our physical existence, in our home life. We've all experienced some of that. Right in the middle, we have Pisces and Neptune coming in there to lift us up and settle things, dissolve the boundaries between what's going on in our earthly realm, bring us together, and lift us up into something else. We will find that within ourselves by sensing and feeling. Very important to be discerning. You know inside your heart and your soul what your path is supposed to be and where you're going. I have talked with a lot of people that are changing their lives over, doing things that they never thought they would do. I would happen to be one of them. I came from a very structured corporate type career, and now I am working on this. Why? Because my soul and my heart says I need to make a difference. I need to enrich my own life and my own soul, and I feel like I need to be on a different path. Many people are doing that, and doing that in a way that they feel fills their soul and can touch the hearts of other people. So we're going to see a lot more of that, and that to me is what spiritual expansion is, and what Neptune and Jupiter and Venus together will do. Many of us will find that we will come together with the right people at the right time, whether that be in one-on-one relationships, soulmates based on unconditional love, or groups of people that come together to actually help one another enlighten themselves spiritually and make a difference in the real world. So I'm excited for this new moon that's coming up. I would love to hear what's happening in your life. Has anything changed suddenly? What has been gifted to you from a place that you cannot seem to understand where the heck it came from, but you are so happy that it's there? What are you doing in terms of reaching out your hand to your neighbor, to other people, and spreading a little bit of love and compassion? Or what are you creating in your life that seems to be channeled from a place that you can't quite explain sometimes, that might be providing some kind of emotional healing or elevation for you and for other people. This is a really awesome. So I'd like to hear what you're working on right before this new moon, and how you've been using or experiencing this energy, and hopefully the explanation I gave you kind of gives you a place to look or sort of say, oh yeah, this is what happened. Not everybody understands astrology, the planets and the energies, and that's what those of us that study astrology are here to do, is help explain those things. So if you have any questions, something that I didn't touch on or you didn't quite understand, or just want to share your experiences, please put them in the comment box below. I would love to hear it. And I will be back to talk about the new moon that's coming up on Saturday, the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Taurus, and more horoscopes, and working on a very special video on how I really feel that Neptune and Jupiter conjunction along with Venus is going to affect us, and how I have seen real world examples through people I know that are actually channeling this energy in very, very special ways. So I hope that I'm giving my little piece. That's what my intent is, and I'd love to hear what yours is. Thanks so much for coming back to the channel. I really appreciate you. If you have not subscribed, please like, subscribe, and share. I would be so grateful. As I build my channel, YouTube, the algorithms are a little interesting, and all of that activity, comments and likes and shares and subscribes, and even hitting the notification bell helps me as I build my channel. So I would be very, very grateful. I'm having a great time doing it. If you would like a personal reading, my website is up and running, and you can send me a message through the contact page there at jovesstar.com. That's JOVESSTAR.com, and I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to read for you. I will see you next time. Until then, may the stars forever be in your favor. Take good care. Bye for now.